So I want to start by saying I'm getting over being sick and I now have terrible allergies. So if I sound like that, that's because I am like that. In this video, I'm making the June 2019 polished pickup earrings, or my June 2019 polished pickup earrings. It was weather phenomena and I chose ice clouds, but specifically diamond dust. So ice clouds are just clouds made out of ice, right? But diamond dust, the cloud is more particle-y, like you can see more of the particles of ice, and they refract light, so they're like kind of rainbowy. So I chose this matte sodalite, which has this very wispy white veining on it, so it already looks pretty cloud-like. And then I put, you'll see in the upper right corner right now, you can see there's these clear beads, and they all have an iridescent coating on them so that they look like the refracted rainbow lighting through diamond dust. For some reason, at this point, I had decided to put the bottle of nail polish that I'm wearing on my nails in the shot. I understand kind of at the beginning here because this was a custom polish made for me, inspired by these earrings. But you'll see later, I put the next manicure there too. Maybe I just thought, well, I did it once, I have to keep doing it. But it's not related to the earrings at all. Right now, what I'm doing is making the base of the earrings, I suppose, the biggest part. But I'm using silver pins because I remember distinctly I had run out of silver wire, and I was so frustrated, but with myself, was so relieved that I had enough silver pins to make all of the earrings that sold, and that the silver pins were long enough to make the loops on. And now I'm doing the clear beads, which will go on the jump rings you can see in the right cork coaster. Those jump rings will connect the sodalite pieces to the clear beads. These earrings were moderately labor intensive, mostly because of these crystals. Doing wire looping, like making the loop and then wrapping the wire around the pin over and over again, is rough on my hands, and that's why I'm wearing compression gloves. I try to always wear compression gloves, but I frequently forget. But it just helps prevent pain in my knuckles after I've done a whole bunch of wire work like this. I have had a lot of people over time request that I make tutorials for how I do my loop wire wrapping, and all I can say is, number one, it's in a ton of my videos. Like this one you can't really see it very well, but I post it pretty frequently, or film it pretty frequently, and just use 2 pairs of pliers. Stop using your fingers. Your fingers don't have good enough grip. Like they're too soft and squishy to grip wire hard enough to make really neat loops and the wrap around the wire. I don't know what to call it. It's not a bail, but it's kind of like a bail. But yeah, like pliers will give you the grip that you need to make sure that you can pull the wire taut around itself. And I see people using their fingers all the time, and that's, like, you can, if it's a really soft wire, you can usually do it, and I've done it myself, and it's okay, but it's a lot easier with pliers, and it always comes out looking neater. If you're someone who used to buy my pieces from Polish Pickup, I did stop participating in Polish Pickup several years ago. They changed a bunch of the rules for makers, and as a micro business, just a one-person business who can't easily mass produce pieces, I would have been unable to comply with those rules, so I dropped out. I don't think that the NDA part of the contract would still hold by now, but I'm not sure, so I'm not like gonna actually say what the rules are. But they weren't like egregious, they're just absolutely impossible for a micro business who's not making nail polish. If I were making nail polish, it would have been one thing, because when you make nail polish, you make a batch of nail polish and then you pour it into the individual bottles. But obviously with jewelry, I have to make each and every piece, so it's a lot more time consuming. But the biggest hurdle is finances. I would not have been able to recoup the financial loss that I would have faced from their new rules with the sales for several months. Meaning that on average, my sales per month would have not recouped that loss, at least not to a comfortable margin. So yeah, I no longer do polish pickup, and that's why. I think these are nice little earrings. More complicated than they look to make, but they're just really, really nice. Because of the blue, they're pretty like denim coated, so they're kind of neutral, because we now associate denim with neutral, at least in the US. I don't know about other countries, but you know, we look at denim colors and kind of think, oh, neutral, even though it's blue. And they're sparkly, but they're not super sparkly, and the matte sodalite kind of brings them to like a casual level. They're just really easy to wear. I have a pair myself. I have a copy of every piece I've made for polish pickup. I also do that for Patreon. It's mostly so that I can make sure I don't too closely design something that I've already made, basically. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully it did. But I also get the benefit of then I have the jewelry to wear. If you're looking into making jewelry and you're like, where do I start? Where do I get pliers? These were the 3 pairs of pliers that aren't the round nose, like the red handled round nose ones. The other 3 pairs are just tool pliers, like from the hardware store. The bent nose ones are from like a pliers set that my fiance has, and I stole them. And then the yellow pliers and the green clippers I stole from my dad. But they both have like 100 pliers, so I don't consider it stealing, I just consider it liberation. And then I did buy the round nose red handled pliers, because round nose pliers are pretty essential for jewelry making, but they're cheap. You can get them just about anywhere, like Michael's or Amazon, or like any store that has any jewelry supplies should carry round nose pliers. There's also stepped round nose pliers, where instead of the cone, there's like distinct levels of round, And I have a pair of those too, and they're really great for like duplication. Like they make it really easy to do identical loops. You can do that with the cone ones too. You can't see it in the video, but I have a preferred loop size, and because of that, I have etched a line into the pliers over time. Like just with use, all the wires that have wrapped around those pliers have etched a line into the pliers. You can also mark them with Sharpie so that when you're making a piece, you can, see exactly where you want the loops to be so that they're identical, or at least really close to. I remember with handmade stuff, part of the appeal of handmade stuff is that you can see that it's not machine made. So if your loops aren't exactly the same size, and if your wrapping isn't exactly perfect, that's okay. That just proves that your hands were the ones making it. When you finish wrapping the loop around itself, like you bend the loop, you wrap the loop around the pliers, and then you wrap the wire back around. When you clip, make sure you go back in right there. I just did it right there. Make sure you go back in and tuck that cut end in, because it's going to be sharp. It doesn't matter what clippers you're using, that end is going to be sharp. And with jewelry, you don't want anything sharp sticking out. Obviously, it'll poke people, but it will also catch on clothing, and that's obnoxious. So do your best to tuck it in by squeezing it as close to the wire as you can, and you can also kind of blunt it with the pliers as you do that. I feel like my Californian accent is really, really strong in this voiceover, and I'm not sorry. You can also use files or sandpaper to blunt the ends. What I will use if I need to is nail files, like the throwaway kind that like every single polish maker sends with your polish, or at least they used to. I have like 20 of them still at least, and you can use those to soften the ends of the wire if tucking it in and kind of smashing it with the pliers doesn't make it soft enough. Now I'm putting them on the earring hooks. Sometimes I do everything in an assembly line, like one step for all of them, and sometimes I do bits and pieces. I have to make sure though that each pair stays with itself, because I matched the sodalite stones up. And, as much as you can match natural stone up. And also double checking that the clear bead tassel bits have the right amount of clear beads. I do a lot of double checking all along the way of making jewelry, because it's really easy to make mistakes when you're making a lot of it, making a lot of the same piece, or even of different pieces. So it's good to just make sure. So yeah, out of frame, I'm hanging these all up in pairs. You can kind of see at the top middle there that I've got 2 pairs separated. A lot of the time what I do is I buy pre-made hooks and then I modify them to what I want them to be. That's why there's the silver balls and springs on the cork coaster, because these were the kind of hooks that have those on them, and I clipped them and curled them up shorter. I don't really love the big gap between the earlobe and the earring that kind of spacer provides or forces. I like the earring to sit closer to the ear most of the time, not always, mind you, but most of the time. Now I'm gonna pack them up. I tried to make polish pickup packaging as small as possible because they get shoved in envelopes with a bunch of nail polish and, you know, whatever else people bought during polish pickup. But if you don't know, polish pickup is a monthly event that's mostly nail polish. It's like an online shop where a bunch of makers come together with one inspiration and they all make something based off that inspiration. So all of those items get shipped to like headquarters, and then headquarters packages people's orders with all the different makers' items. So you have to make sure that your piece is well protected, but also minimal in size. Also, that's a nail tool that I'm poking holes with, and I broke it later. So now I use and is it called an awl? The thing you use to punch leather with? I call it a leather punch most of the time, but I think it's called an awl. So that's what I use now. Which is fine, I just miss this nail tool because it really was perfect for little tiny holes. I'm not a perfectionist, but like halfway to a perfectionist. So I'm trimming the cards to like make them fit perfectly and to make sure they're symmetrical on both sides of the earrings. I just want people to open their packages and be like, wow, that's like, you know, so cute, and clearly attention was paid to detail. So I do stuff like that, and I still do stuff like that to this day. Like I can see right now that one's asymmetrical. I'm putting washi tape, it's a pretty strong glue washi tape, on the back to protect the hooks, by which I mean to cover the ends of the hooks so that they don't poke through the tissue paper, and it also keeps the earrings in place on the cards. And by tissue paper, I mean the tissue paper that I'm going to wrap these in after I do all this taping. And there you can see the other nail polish I'm wearing. I think it's called Make Waves by Moonshine Manny. I mean, I'm sure she doesn't make it anymore, it's been years, but there we go. There's the tissue paper. I'm going to wrap them in the tissue paper. Whoa. I'm going to try again and wrap them in the tissue paper. What on earth am I doing? Oh, I know. I used to want to have the tissue paper back, like the part where the seam was, be on the back, and then the jewelry face forward from it. And now I don't care about that because people aren't going to remember by the time they actually get the piece out of the tissue paper. That saves me a little bit of time packaging, at least. I also always wanted to make sure that the seam ended up right in the middle, or at least like close to the middle, and now it's just a free-for-all. And hopefully that's okay. I'm sure it is. It's just like I have to find places to cut time when packing orders because it takes me so long already. And if I can find any way to make it shorter so that you can get your order faster, I'm going to. Other than like buying easy packaging where I could just like throw it in within a minute. I don't want to do that. I like doing this because this is, you know, at least the second life for this tissue paper and for the backing cards and stuff, and like the ribbon. Like that's important to me to make sure that everything gets more life before it gets thrown away. So even if you're throwing the packaging materials away, at least you're not the first user of them. It looks so easy and fast when it's in time-lapse. It's not that easy and it's not that fast. It's not hard, but it's certainly not that fast. for example, this ribbon used to be a tie on a skirt, like a decorative tie on a skirt, and I never liked the tie, so I cut it off, and then now I'm using it for ribbon for these pieces. Sorry, this is so blindingly white right now. I tried to adjust it, but if there's, like, if something is white or black, the camera doesn't actually register the information. It just registers white or black and erases any information. So I did my best, but it's still blinding. I was struggling with this bow, I guess. I think it's the end of the ribbon, so it's harder to make a bow with it. Did I just give up? Yeah, just gave up, moved on to the next piece. If you have any questions about jewelry making or running a small jewelry shop, online shop, drop them in the comments, because I always need ideas for more videos. Like, I have 20 more videos to make filmed already, but like, it's always the same stuff where I'm making the jewelry or I'm putting away supplies or packaging stuff, so variety would be great. On here, I'm cutting apart some sort of dried plant for the decoration of the packaging. That sounds so much worse than it ends up looking. I think it's cute. I think this is one of those cinnamon brooms from Trader Joe's that I'm cutting up right now. Yeah, it definitely is. They don't smell like cinnamon anymore, but I like cut up all the, you know, the sweepy part of the broom. I cut up that whole part for packaging when I remember. So yeah, I'm just cutting them to a length that's appropriate for the little bundles. And then I'm gonna grab like little chunks of them. Oh yeah, and some lace. Chop up some lace and a little bundle of sticks, and ta-da, it's cute. Unfortunately, this ta-da is very disappointing because it's mostly off screen. I wonder if I show you any of them. You wouldn't believe how many times I've watched this video through, like at least 20 times through, no joke. So you would think I would remember what I did in it, like what I showed you in it, but I didn't, and like I have no idea. Absolutely no recollection, because I'm not watching the video, I'm editing the video. It's a very different mental process of what kind of information I'm processing. Process. I think plant matter plus lace is a super pretty packaging decoration. I don't do this right now. Right now I've been making collage cards and cutting those up into tags. I don't think one's better than the other, I just think that this is really cute. Polish pickup was supposed to be like supplemental income, it's just that apparently the Polish pickup audience really likes my jewelry, which was really rewarding and affirming. So now I'm putting business cards and the little bundles into bubble wrap. Again, want to protect these pieces when they're shoved into a bubble mailer with a bunch of other stuff, especially because nail polish is in glass bottles and they're very heavy. So when you're packaging for it, you just want to really make sure you're protecting them. I mean, I do this anyway, but it started with polish pickup. I think. I could be wrong. I don't know. My memory on where stuff started for AgAuCu is definitely like 50-50 correct, incorrect. And there you go. June 2019 polish pickup. Thank you for watching. I hope it was informative and I don't sound too horrible. Oh, how cute. That's so cute. Those are really old business cards. Okay, bye!